Hello viewers and welcome to this week's special holiday edition of the program. This is the Gavel and I'm Benny Ark. It's that time of the year again, the season of giving, celebrating and also reflecting on the year gone by. We've got a lot to cover today, so grab a cup of something warm, relax and let's get started. Before taking a break for the Christmas, senators in the Red Chamber took time to deliberate on a number of important issues, including a motion on the failure of a construction company's management to honor an invitation by the Senate Committee on Works. Here is a recap.
Before the Christmas break, lawmakers in the Red Chamber considered several issues. The senators adopted the report of the Committee on Banking, Insurance and Other Financial Institutions on the 2024 Nigerian Insurance Industry Reform Bill.
Read for the second time.
The bill seeks to increase the minimum capital for insurance companies operating in Nigeria from 2 billion naira to 10 billion naira, while the non-life insurance was increased from 3 billion naira to 15 billion naira.
Senate Committee on Banking, Insurance and Other Financial Institutions, to which this bill was referred, having favorably considered same which reflect the majority of the memoranda and submissions received from stakeholders and the general public during the public hearing and which are in the attached report, now recommends that the Senate do consider and pass the Nigerian Industry Reform Bill 2024 SB 393.
Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole?
The lawmakers also considered a motion on the urgent need to address incessant banditry attacks, killings and displacements in some villages in Bileri local government area of Gombe State.
The Senate alarmed that suspected herders armed with dangerous weapons during the late hours of Wednesday to early hours of Thursday, 11 December 2024, invaded communities of Sansani, Kalindi, Powishi, Laushi, Daji, villages, Kalme district in Bileri local government senatorial district of Gombe South, on motorbikes, attacked and killed several residents, including a cleric, and also burned down residential houses, large foodstuffs, livestock, and many scores were displaced. Worried that such a development is threatening the peace and security in the area and neighboring state, such as Taraba, Bauchi, Adama State, and had negatively impacted food sufficiency and major economic activities. Aware that the primary duty and obligation of government is to ensure the protection of lives and properties in every Nigerian, the Senate resolved, therefore, to observe 1 minute silence in honor of the deceased constituents. 2, urge the Inspector General of Police, Chief of Army Staff, and the Director General of DSS to investigate, arrest, and prosecute these criminal gangs to serve as a deterrent for the future.
Also, the Senate debated a motion questioning the role of governors in tackling insecurity.
Mr. President, my argument, it is not whether 500 million is for a security board. But I know as a matter of facts, as a matter of institution, that every state government or governor has what he calls security board. I'm not sure about the amount. The issue is, what does that security board represent? Mr. President, you're a governor. I want governors here. I want you, sir. I want governors who are here. What does that security board represent? And why is it every time there are security issues, nobody mentions as the role of the governors? Why is the role of the governor? What are they supposed to be doing with the security board? Even though maybe that is the way of thinking. But I'm concerned, Mr. President, that every time we do these things, almost on a need basis, no mention of what a governor could do.
The Senate Committees on National Security and Intelligence, Police Affairs and Legislative Compliance were mandated to investigate the recent killings in Bileri, Gombe State. During another session, a motion on the failure of the management of a construction company to honor an invitation of the Senate Committee on Works was considered.
The resolutions passed by this Senate was that the Senate Committee on Works invites the three contractors, Messrs. Sematech, Messrs. Julius Berger, and Messrs. CCECC, Nigeria Limited, to a hearing. Distinguished colleagues, it is very sad to note and to state that Julius Berger has refused to attend these investigative hearings.
The Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has authorized the Senate President to sign a warrant compelling the Managing Director of Julius Berger to appear before the Senate Committee on Works on a stated date to be so named. Those in support of this say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Also before the holiday, they considered and passed through second reading a bill to amend the Compulsory Free Universal Basic Education Act.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I therefore passionately solicit your support in considering and passage of this bill, which seeks to amend the Principal Act to enable the early child care development and education strengthen states to meet their commitment to the federal government block grant and enable states and the Universal Basic Education Commission fully implement and actualize the compulsory and free universal basic education.
Those in support that it be allowed to pass through second reading say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
The issue of arrest and unlawful detention by the Nigerian police force, which has been an ongoing conversation, was brought to the floor of the Green Chamber by a member of the House of Representatives. He referenced the reported arrest of a community leader in Nasarawa State and sought the House's intervention.
In the Green Chamber before the holiday, a member representing Darazo Ganjua Federal Constituency, Honorable Mansur Soro, brought to the attention of the House an alleged unlawful arrest and detention of a community leader in Nasarawa State.
On the 9th of December 2024, a distinguished community leader in the person of Bayaji Bello Badejo was arrested in Maye town of Nasarawa State in a commando style by the officers of the 177 Battalion of the Nigerian Army with no further invitation or court injunction. Further informed that the arrest is allegedly in connection to a misunderstanding between a retired military general and some members of the Maria community. Concerned that 1 week after the arrest, Alhaji Bello Badejo is yet to be arraigned before a competent court of jurisdiction as required by the extant laws of the land. The House is disturbed that the continued detention of Alhaji Bello Badejo by the officers of the Nigerian Army without formal charge is a violation of his fundamental human rights as provided for in Section 34, Section 35, and Section 36 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. The House resolved, 1, to condemn the attempt by the officers of the 177 Battalion to take over the work of the Nigerian police and the courts in resolving disputes between Nigerian citizens. The House called on the Chief of Defense Staff and the Chief of Army Staff to order the immediate release of Alhaji Bello Badejo from unlawful detention and to also apologize to him for infringing on his constitutionally guaranteed fundamental human rights.
The Speaker adopted the motion and resolved to invite the Chief of Defense Staff, the Chief of Army Staff, and the Commanding Officer of the 177 Battalion to appear before the House Committees on Army, Human Rights and Justice. Furthermore, the House has urged the Ministry of Commerce and Industry to reconstruct the Lafia Modern Market, which was gutted by fire on December 5, 2024. The resolution was made after a motion was moved by Honorable Abubakar Dahiru.
Worried that the market was built with sustainable building materials, shops owners whose shops were destroyed by the fire state that the cause of the fire is unknown and that the wood used in the construction of the shores contributed to the effort. Considerant of the need to introduce the fire safety measure as the regular fire risk assessments, installations and maintenance of fire alarm system, fire extinguisher, emergency lighting, uses of fire-resistant materials in the construction, and regular maintenance of the electrical equipment are essential steps to mitigate potential fire hazard and ensure safe evacuations during the emergency. Resolved that the state government, through the relevant authorities, to provide the alternative area for the traders to do privileges. Calls the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation to provide immediate relief materials for the victim of the fire outbreak. Further, urge the Federal Fire Service, in collaboration with National Emergency Agency (NEMA), to assess and address gaps in fire safety infrastructure in the markets nationwide.
Meanwhile, the Green Chamber has resolved to investigate the federal government's over $70 million agricultural program entered in November 2023 to provide 2,000 tractors and other agricultural implements to Nigerian farmers.
They are also aware that Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, pursuant to the Presidential Food Security Initiative (PFSI), entered into another 5-year agreement with AfriTrade DMCC for establishment of a tractor assembly plant to produce 9,022 agricultural implements and 2,000 various tractors annually. This agreement was estimated to cost Nigeria about $190,433. That is $684 million, Mr. Speaker. The House worried that a year after the agreement was signed by the National Agricultural Development Fund and the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, no single tractor or implement has been received in Nigeria, despite the huge public funds involved in this transaction. Mr. Speaker, sir, the House concerned that non-delivery of these tractors and implements a setback to the New Hope agenda of agricultural mechanization, and this poses challenge to Nigeria's food sufficient ambition, as 2 farming seasons have been lost since the signing of the agreement.
The Committee on Agricultural Production and Services was mandated to investigate the non-delivery of the machines as stated in the agreement and report back within 4 weeks.
Welcome back. You're still watching The Gavel, the holiday edition. Now, let's turn to the Policy and Legal Advocacy Center, PLAC, for an insightful analysis on how bills are passed in both the Senate and the House of Representatives. Stay tuned.
PLAC has put up a report on what we call step-by-step guide to passing a law. And this includes a regular bill, but also what we call constitutional amendment bills. So you have the step-by-step guide to legislative process. And in every parliament, there is what you call the rules of the legislative house, whether it's the Senate or the House of Representatives. And the rules are like the Bible or the religious book or Quran of the members who should believe in it. It's very rare in legislative houses for a legislative house to set aside its rules to deal with an issue, unless it is very, very evident that there's an emergency that requires that this be so. What is happening in Nigeria is that there is a constant use of the setting aside of the rules to get to an end. And Nigerians have been very critical in raising concern about this. And there have been quite a few bills, and this has been especially common with the 10th National Assembly. There's been quite a few bills that have come up that the rules have been set aside in order to deal with either a bill or a motion. And unless it's a national emergency that everyone can see, it's very unadvised or ill-advised for you to give the impression that your processes can be so fluid as to be set aside so easily. It reduces the respect that citizens have for the legislative house. It reduces the quality of the action that you intend to take, maybe even the legitimacy of the action, whether it's a bill or a motion. And that's why it's very much not advised to constantly resort to setting aside the rules of the House. And when you have a bill is supposed to be presented for first reading. And those bills, when they are presented for first reading, unless on the face of it they are defective, it should be quite clear that every bill must pass first reading. And that first reading is really to announce the name of the bill and what it intends to achieve, so that it is admitted as an instrument that would go through the legislative process, the bill process. It is when it comes up for second reading that there's a debate about the bill. Whoever is the mover, if it's a private member bill, the mover of the bill is able to present the bill, explain the intention of the bill, and open up the debate. If it's an executive bill, it's the majority leader who presents the lead debate on it so that it is seen why the executive wants the bill. And I make the point quite clearly always that the most important legislative work of proposing bills actually rests with the executive. I don't think that the whole idea that a member of the National Assembly proposed 100 bills should be considered to be a legislative achievement. The most important bills are usually proposed by the executive, because a bill proposed by the executive shows that the government has a direction and it needs the bill to support its direction. What we are seeing in the country today is that the majority, almost 95% of bills, are proposed by private members. This is wrong. And when people assess National Assembly members by the number of bills they have proposed, I think this is defective. I think it should really be that the executive, knowing what its agenda is busy writing bills, is proposing bills to the National Assembly. The quality of the legislator is known by how much they are able to understand the bill proposed by the executive, how much they are able to get that bill to pass in the light of good governance, in the light of understanding how it impacts on citizens. And I think that's the work that legislators need to devote resources to do, not by writing up bills. And when you look at the bills that come into the National Assembly, a lot of them are recycled bills from several sessions of National Assembly. The creativity is limited. And I think that legislators going forward need to understand that it is not by a number of bills that they propose that show that they are good legislators. It is their ability to carry out proper oversight, proper scrutiny of the executive bills. That's what makes a good legislator. And I look back to the days when I saw the National Assembly working between 1979 and 1983. And some of the most important influential legislators were those who were able to propose good scrutiny of executive bills, who were able to lead good oversight, and who were able to put forward their constituents' needs before the National Assembly.
Let's meet Honorable Kolawole Davidson Akinlayo, who represents Moba Elejemeje Ido Osi Federal Constituency in Ekiti State. He shares his goals and what he has in store for his people.
We have been able to distribute some palliatives as palliative to them, to reduce the hunger in the land. We've given them rice, we've given them gari, and we're also giving them some money. just to add to the palliative giving. And we are able to also effect changes in most areas that we feel that the roads are not okay, especially in Osun, Ekiti, where we are able to break in against that have been in existence for over 22 years. The road was not passable, but we make it motorable within 1 year in our office. And again, we've been able to construct some schools in various towns and villages in my favorite constituency, classroom block for them. And we also procure some computers that we have ICT center for the youth, of the upcoming youth. And also, we also train the youth, the artisans, and some elderly women that want to go into trade. So we bring them, we train them for startup, and we also empower them with some money to start the business. In Ferroco, there are over 500 that we were able to do for the past 3 months. We've been on it, training upon training for our people, and we are empowering them. And also, we also try to engage our youth. The youth in my fair consider that are in various institutions of learning. We have a program for them that wants to give some stipend, like a bursary, to also support the family of those in school that are not really well to do. Some people will tell you what they want now is they need solar light. So we are able to install solar light in various communities in our federal constituency. And again, we purchase white forms and for people in various communities. We ask them, we go to school and ask them the number of students that are in SS3. We take up their bills for WIC, we pay for WIC, and we also enroll them in extra curriculum lesson so that they can meet up with 21st century education standards. So we are doing that in various communities. And again, the motion, we've been able to list a lot of motions on the floor of the house, especially when there was a thunderstorm and rainfall serious that damaged a lot of communities in Ifishe Ekiti and Ayegbule. So we brought that to the front burner of the National Assembly, and we were able to get some incentives, some relief materials for those people too. So we distributed that same, and we are working to make sure our constituency is well put in the map of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and the representative we are giving is all inclusive, and there are still others in the pipeline. So the program is ongoing. As I'm talking to you now, we are doing advert for people that want to learn how to make POP, how to do ties, how to do terrazzo, and a whole lot of artisan work. So by next week we'll start that, and we've chosen almost 200 per each local government for that purpose. So as we go on, so we'll be doing our best to make sure we put succor in the face of our people.
That's a wrap for this week's episode. We'd love to hear from you, so drop us a message at thegavel@channelstv.com. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Benny Ark, wishing you a happy new year. See you next time. Stay safe and be well.